Son of a gun. Good? Feng shui works?
Feng shui.
All right, listen to this. There has been a sudden decline in the healthy masculinity of men in a restaurant. There was this 6'7" pansy who got mad at me because he wanted me to write on a plate with chocolate writing, "Will you be my girlfriend?" to his partner. That little dick energy, sad, right? There was this like buff dude another dude, he was buff. He didn't have a neck. And before we handed the menus out to the rest of his party, he was like, "Don't do it. I got it. I'm taking charge." I was like, "Oh, here we go. We got a baller here." And he couldn't seem to understand that he wasn't ordering enough food for his group. He thought I was like gouging him. He just didn't handle it well. And then there was a guy who complained to management because when he was sat, he felt that the hostesses looked at him a certain way and he felt judged. That you are fragile and insecure to a level beyond my comprehension. If you want to be a man in a restaurant and take that role, you have to do it with finesse. You have to do it with cojones. You know what I mean? So look at your server in the eye, be confident, and convey that the responsibility of taking over a dining experience is something that isn't overwhelming to you. Man the fuck up. Or let your girl order for you. You know what I mean? So you know what I'm saying? God bless the United States of being a grown-ass man. Start it up, Adrian.
It was great hosting you all we could.
Start it up, dude. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. Dudes are being little bitches, man.
You know what?
Start it up.
Let's go. Welcome to the Fancy Bread Podcast, where we talk all things restaurants. I'm one of your hosts, Adrian.
I'm your other host, Ed.
And today, in the first of our last episode, we're going to have a conversation about why do people go to restaurants and why does it matter?
Wait, you think we're getting canceled for that?
Oh, absolutely.
No, we're not, bro. People are going to feel that because dudes are being little bitches nowadays.
That's why we're going to cancel.
Go ahead, man. What are we talking about today?
We're talking about why do people go to restaurants and why does that matter?
Big deal.
Now, you might think it's not important. People go to restaurants for various reasons.
Right.
Absolutely. But as a server, I like to change my roles because we spoke about the many roles that a server does, like an actor, right? I like to change my roles accordingly to the kind of experience that the guests are looking for. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the reasons that where we put those reasons into a couple of categories, maybe some suggestions into how to better select the restaurant if you're a guest, and also what we do when we have those guests and how we put them in those boxes. What kind of questions we ask them, right?
Okay.
Let's just have a little chat, see where that goes.
Yeah, I mean, it's important to understand that this topic is complex, okay? Why people do anything is a complex matter, okay? And there's so many different restaurant styles and genres that there's a lot of selection out there. So it's important for people to understand that what we're doing is not the be-all, end-all of this issue, right? We're just trying to, dive into the issue, generally give our ideas, but there is a lot more to this. A lot more to this. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
Right. So what we're going to do generally is we're going to present 3 different kinds of restaurants. And in each one of those restaurants, different dining styles and how you as a server should approach a guest in that dining style to best benefit their experience and to perhaps,
Benefit your pocket.
benefit your pocket. Before that, we've come up with a slight checklist, per se, that you as a guest should maybe think about before, sort of as a precursor to all of this. Consider.
Yes.
And these are in no particular order. Let's think, as a guest, you should be considering what your budget is, for example, which is a big deal. If money is no issue, then no restaurant is an issue, right? It doesn't matter. If you're trying to pinch pennies, no problem. It is what it is. There's a restaurant for you. What is a problem is if you go to a restaurant that's expensive, but you want to be cheap. then, some issues can arise from that. Who you're bringing with you
Which is a big deal.
is a big deal.
Absolutely.
Right? If you're bringing your moms, if you're bringing your family, if you're bringing a girl that you're comfortable with, if you're bringing a girl that you're trying to impress that you haven't really gotten there yet with, if you're bringing a friend, whatever.
Because now you're dealing with other people's likes, what they like, what they don't like, what they appreciate, what they don't appreciate.
Yeah.
So now you have to think about those things. And some people don't. Some people don't care about what other people like. Some people are more accommodating. Some people have a bit more little dick energy than others.
Little dick energy. LDE. Right. But the point is that there's a restaurant for everybody. As long as you understand what you're going to the restaurant for, and as long as you try your best to align your energy with the restaurant you're going to, you're ensuring that, you're increasing the chances that you're going to have a good time.
Which is the other two things that we're talking about, and that is the occasion and the purpose that you're going there for, right? Because you might say, oh, you're going there to celebrate something, or you go there to celebrate someone, or you're there to impress someone, right? So that's why if there's an occasion, or what is the purpose behind you inviting someone out to eat,
Right.
then those are, I think, the four things that you might want to consider if you're going out to dine in a restaurant.
True. So, first category,
Absolutely.
food.
Yes.
This is my favorite category. This is the category that I relate to the most, right? Now, in every category of these three that we're going to present, there's different diners that go to them. But for the food category, I'll start by saying that there's people who come to a restaurant because all they're concerned with, all they're interested in is the food experience, the raw, delicious food, right? They're not concerned with anything else. They just want to eat something that's really tasty.
Of course. Now, under food, because there's many reasons why people go out to restaurants. Under food, you can go to a restaurant for their culinary experience because they have ingredients that you don't have access to, skills that you still don't know. They have tools, all these things, of course, that make it difficult for you to do. A restaurant may have. It could be a cultural restaurant. It could be a restaurant that specifies. Not specifies. It could be a restaurant that is great
Specializes?
It specializes at making one dish.
Right.
That you're like, nobody makes that dish like they do. They won awards for that dish. They're recognized for that dish. People talk about or rave about that one dish.
Yeah.
So there's, under the food category, there's many reasons that put you into that one. Now, bear in mind, we have made this three categories because this is the ones that we are going to be addressing restaurants in the future.
Right.
Like they're gonna fall into one of those three categories, and that's how we will approach talking about restaurants. Let's get into the second category, ambiance or vibes.
I like
Some might
vibe
count.
better.
I feel you.
I know you like ambiance better.
Ambiance.
Of course you do.
Absolutely.
Right.
So, who's in this category, right? The people that are looking for the trendiest place, people that want to eat outside.
I would say no judgments, but I'm going to just say yes, judgments. This category possesses my least favorite kind of diner. This isn't my least favorite dining aspect. Again, the vibe category in it has my least favorite kind of diner. And we'll get there. Go ahead.
Absolutely. So, and people might go because it's trendy. People might go because of the ambiance, because there's live entertainment, loud music, because the place looks beautiful. It's a place that everybody's talking about. Maybe dining outdoors. People want to socialize, network. It maybe it's a special occasion. They feel like they want to dress up for the occasion and take pictures, make it memorable. But ambience is where you're more focused about the place itself. Maybe where it's located, how much people are talking about it. It's more centered around the place than it is about the food or the service.
How it makes them feel.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's about that ambiance.
Whatever. Keep going.
And finally, service. Now, this one is a little bit more intricate and difficult to explain, right? Because service is how a person makes you feel when you walk into a place. Makes you feel at home, makes you feel welcome. It's when someone, it's personalized. When you walk into a place and people call you by your name. It's, or maybe it's a person that serves you, that you say, you know, I want to go there because this person always sells me and it feels great. So that would be the third one. A little bit more hard to describe, but also I even read about this, an emotional support restaurant. That sometimes you just want to.
It's always been a real thing. I just don't think the title's ever been attributed to it, but it's always been a real thing. You can just be stressed out. Your girl or your man could be getting on your nerves. And you might just want to have a drink at a bar and chill.
Yeah.
That's an emotional service place. This category, the service category, I feel is the most challenging category for a server because it's the one that requires the most ability and the most attention to detail.
Or empathy.
I think the empathy goes more towards the food, as far as I'm concerned. But service requires a server. The service aspect requires a server to be more skilled. It requires more skill and attention to detail from the service aspect because you got to be on your P's and Q's.
Now, why we mentioned those three categories and also the checklist is because it's important for you to know that restaurants don't have unlimited budgets. And they usually are born with an idea.
Right.
Or a place in mind. They say, I want to make this place so that everybody wants to gather in and they're going to have drinks or they're going to have food and we're going to have the best service. But at some point, you know, their budget ends. So they always start with that idea. And most times you will find restaurants that even though they have a little bit of everything,
Right.
they always have a center focus on one of those three. You know, maybe it's a show that they have, right? So it's more about the service. Maybe is the dishes or the culinary art. The chef is behind it. So maybe it's more about the food. Or maybe it's just a beautiful, luxurious place that people just want to be in it. So it's always going to be one of the three that's going to be the strongest of all. So hopefully this will help you manage expectations a little bit better. And understand that there's no perfect place that has all of them. There is a perfect restaurant for everybody.
Right.
Well, you have mentioned that. But there's not a perfect restaurant for everyone.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen.
So as servers, how do we go about in identifying the reason that a guest goes to a restaurant for? Where the obvious one would be that if you work in a restaurant that's a party vibe, you might think that people are here for the party vibe,
Right.
right?
That's logical.
Or if you work in a restaurant that's just very food driven, you think, these people here have to have a great culinary experience. But some people make the wrong decisions and they go to a restaurant without knowing what they're getting into.
Right, because as a guest, you have to do your best. It's smart if you figure out what kind of restaurant you're going to before you go there. As industry people, we get that information from other industry people. Somebody that you've worked with for a while that you trust says, yo, this restaurant has phenomenal pasta. Or I ate at this restaurant the other day, phenomenal. Then you know, hey, listen, this person, I trust their judgment. As they've trusted mine in the past, I'm going to go check that out. So you go. So, right. If you don't have industry friends, which is very possible because industry sticks with industry, then what do you do? What do you do as a guest to better ensure that the restaurant you're going to meets your vibe expectations, your experience expectations? Unfortunately, you might have to fall onto review websites, which in general are pretty much garbage because they're filled with the minutia of other people who don't know what the hell they're talking about. So you go based on those opinions. You got to deal with, there are some positive aspects. You could do like...
Even on the negative ones, there can be some positive aspects, right? We spoke about this, how a person can go to a restaurant and say, this place was very loud. I could barely hear my date. It was very expensive. Luxurious. Food was great and service was great, but it was not the place for me.
It was too loud and it's too expensive.
Yeah.
That sounds like the restaurant for a dude who hates his wife, has a lot of money, and wants to go out and eat something good.
So
There's a restaurant for everybody,
yeah,
right?
how's that saying goes? One person's trash can be another person's treasure.
Yeah, one person's trash can be another person's treasure.
Yeah, well, one man's trash, another man's treasure. Yeah, whatever.
I think it's one tire in the bowl equals 2 fence posts in the ladder. Cut that shit.
Got that shit.
Cut that shit.
All right. Some reviews would be a little bit more credible. For example, if you are more into food, the Michelin star is a great guide for you to go. However, the Michelin guide usually can be quite daunting or expensive, especially the higher the tiers. But something like the Big Gourmands offer meals that are, I believe, under $100 per person.
Right.
Which, depending on your budget, could be a great place for you to have a phenomenal meal.
Good work for you.
Yeah. So some guys perhaps are a bit more honest than others, because as a person that works in restaurants, let me tell you, sometimes these ad spaces in magazines are bought. And
Well, I mean, I'll keep it simple with you.
they will say, hey, we can nominate you in this magazine, but
Right.
we want an X amount of money.
Right,
and
right,
some restaurants say, we're not paying for that.
Right.
So getting attention from
Right.
certain magazines or news articles perhaps sometimes are not the more honest ones.
Let's be more simple. Most of the people you wait on are normal, but a lot of the people that you wait on are idiots. And rules of marketing have shown us that if people have a bad time, they're going to tell more people. So that logic adds up to the fact that most of the people who write stuff on review sites are idiots. So if that's where you want to get your information from, I wish you the best. It just so happens that people who have a good time, who know how to eat, don't write stuff on websites.
We had an episode before on reviews. You can find that out on our
Right.
knowledge, and I believe that's called "Is This Any Good?"
So also, if you want to go to a restaurant, you don't have industry friends, and you go about choosing your restaurant through some rinky-dink website, chances are, and this is in itself a disclaimer, it's possible that you might go to a restaurant and you don't like the food, you don't like the vibe, you don't like the service, and you're fucked. It is what it is. So you know what the solution to that restaurant is? That experience? You finish your food, you get the hell out, and you don't go back. That's not. If there's a restaurant for everyone, it just happens that that restaurant wasn't for you.
Yeah. Another thing that you can do is if you go to a restaurant that you enjoyed, you can always ask the server or the people that are around you
Right.
of other restaurants are similar to that one,
Right.
or restaurants that they would recommend in the area, or because you can always grab that knowledge from us.
Right.
We're willing to give it. And even the people that are sitting around you, they're willing to do that.
Yeah, because it's like we said, if you're a server and the only thing you have to offer a guest is information about your menu and your food and your drinks, information about inside of your building, you're not doing it right. You have to, in a way, always be able to guide people like a concierge, per se.
Yeah.
Okay?
So how can we identify that a person is going there for one of those three categories, right?
Right.
So there's some questions that we ask our guests. That's one of them. And also the information that they give us prior to going to the restaurant. We spoke about the cheat sheet a lot of times. And if it says special occasion, date night, if it says birthday, anniversary, and clearly they're celebrating. So perhaps they're looking into a more ambiance scene. They're looking for an experience based on the place. However, when they sit down, a couple of questions that you as a server can ask your guests. Obviously, the number one question, first time. Is this your first time visiting us? However you want to phrase that. It lets you know that, obviously, they haven't been here before. This is brand new to them. You can ask them if they're local or out of town, because knowing where a person is from might give you some idea as to how they are culturally.
Really?
Yeah. You can.
Are you confident about that?
Absolutely.
What if someone is from Bangor, Maine? What does that tell you? You heard me. What do you mean? What does that tell you?
Well, the thing about that is, no, here we go. Listen,
I'm listening. Go ahead.
Stereotypes are there for a reason.
I'm listening. Go ahead.
Where I'm trying to go with this is that sometimes getting an idea of where someone is from gives you an idea of the things that they like or they don't like.
True.
right? Because there's a lot of restaurants in certain states or countries or types of cuisines that give you an idea of what this person might be like. Something that we do a lot as servers is that we have to guess a lot of times. We have to, and even though they say if you assume you're fucked or if you assume you're wrong,
Or you make an ass out of you and the person.
exactly. But we have to gamble sometimes. You have to sometimes make assumptions and or smart predictions, right? Sometimes you have to ask all these questions to kind of gauge a little bit more of what things you're going to suggest or how you're going to go about in your service.
True.
So knowing where a person is from, if they're from Europe or if they're from South America or if they're from the United States, well, what kind of things they appreciate or what kind of things they don't appreciate, right? So that's kind of like where I go with that.
You know how I like recently? People from Detroit. Big meat eaters. Detroitians. Detroiticians. Detroitons. However the fuck you say it. Cool people from Detroit, man. That city's been through a lot. So the people from there are just fucking, they're just happy to eat and have a good time, man. Really, really cool people from Detroit. Good vibe. Like city vibe, but chill.
A question that I tend to ask guests is, how did you hear from us?
About us.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
They themselves tend to put themselves in one of those three categories. They say, a friend told me about it. They said the food was fantastic. Or, I saw you on Instagram because I followed this or that person. And you know that they're just following the trends.
When
right?
somebody
Or-
says to
or
you,
some-
my friend recommended this place. They said it was great. What do you say?
God, you got me there real quick.
I say, no, that's too much pressure. We're not here for that. Relax. And they always laugh. I go, no, it's okay. I'm just joking. We got you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I usually say something along the lines of like, well, we appreciate that. And we're glad that you're here. What things that he recommended?
Or she.
Yeah. I usually mention that, or what did that person had that told you that you had to come here to the restaurant. And they usually said, they said that the place was so cool and the music here was, and the vibe was great. They'll tell you that, and in a way they're saying, okay, this is what they're looking for, right? Or they say, oh no, they had this dish, and they say you had to have it. So that particular question just really helps you put guests into one of those three categories.
Right. If a person comes in and they're on that, my friend told me this dish is really good vibe or attitude, then I'm thinking these people are here for food. Check, right? People like that, I serve with great empathy. These are the people who I say to myself, they're not interested in an intricate paced dinner. They don't care that you brought a cold item with a hot item. They're just looking for tasty things to eat. So if that's the case, that's how I treat them. I say to myself, these are the things I know are good. I don't care that they're expensive. I'm not trying to run their checkup. Not that I would do that maliciously anyway, but there's some items that are really good, but also really expensive. And you say to yourself, let's do this. No, these are people who, let's be wholesome. Let's make sure that they have a tasty meal. Frankly, if they're visiting from elsewhere, these are people you probably won't see again. So let's leave them with a good impression. Let's make them go back to their friends and be like, yo, the food was phenomenal. I enjoyed it. So I'm entering things to the computer. If they want to talk about food, if they want to talk about food and look at the menu, I'll recommend things. If I can gain rapport with them and I can say, listen, I got you. Don't worry about it. I'll make your friend proud. They give me some menus. I'm throwing things in there and making a phenomenal dinner for these people. And I'm ensuring that I'm sending them the tastiest things that are reasonable to get them the hell out of there. If they want to spend some money and they make it clear, then, we'll do some higher ticket items. Otherwise, nothing is hitting that table that isn't delicious.
It's knowing how to pick your battles and how to fight them.
Right.
Yeah. Because if you have someone that's there for the ambiance, right? If you have someone that's there because, we know this place is trending, we saw these pictures, we follow this person, or when you ask someone like, is this a special occasion, and they're like, it's my birthday, they just want to look good.
My least favorite people, man.
I know.
My least favorite.
But for them, I'm ready. I have this little ring light that I use.
I know you do, man.
And they love that little ring light. They're like,
you pull.
They lose it. They're like, ah!
I've seen you pull. I've been walking like towards the kitchen, and I've seen you with your ring light. Do you know that I've turned around and gone the other way? Because maybe I was just like in a bad mood because some guest says some dumb shit, and I'm walking to try to deal with the issue, and I see you with your ring light, and I'm just like, God damn, bro. I just turn the other way.
Well, I'm just tending to their needs, man.
Now listen, I get it. Like, these people want to feel special. They want to feel like they're having a good time. The only thing that makes...
Or they want to present that they
Or they want to present... Yeah. The only thing that makes people like that tolerable to me is that the restaurant does the heavy lifting. Right? They got their pretty drink. Right? The food comes out. They want the presentable food. I don't even want anything to do with you people. Just get the hell out. Just eat and go.
I feel you.
Nothing to do with you.
But that's exactly what you have to do at that point when you realize this guest just wants to look good, wants to have the pretty things, and it's what I do is I let them know this is I got you, especially with the drink. I think that the drink is the best place for you to gain rapport with a guest, right? When you get them something that, like Nicole said in a show, a previous guest that we had. She said she likes to pair the look of the drink with the lady's outfit.
No.
And this is something that I do often a lot now.
I don't know.
Oh, after she said that, I was like, it just clicked. And I do it often now. And they absolutely love it. When you bring something that they feel, oh, he read me. He understands that what I want is to look glamorous, is to enjoy the vibe and feel great, feel appreciated, right? And that's what I do, and I let them know, now we're ready to go over the menu. I know that you want to have perhaps this or that, but I humbly suggest that you get this. It's going to look great on your feed. It's going to be super tasty. Yeah, thank me for it. And they do.
It's going to be great on your feed.
It's going to look great on your feed. Yes, on the Instagram feed, Papa. I know it's not your thing. That's why I got my light, but that's what we cater to our guests.
Adrian, let's keep this rolling, man.
Let's keep this rolling.
This topic is terrible.
So finally...
Vibe. No, but wait, hold on. Let's go back a second.
Yes.
The vibe guest
Yes.
is multifaceted because there's people who go to restaurants because they want to do the pictures and the Instagram and listen, whatever. I mean, I jest, right? Like, I think it's corny as hell. But if that's what makes you happy, do what you got to do.
Also,
it's still money.
But this is a great... I would even say that this is a great category for you to oversell.
Right. I was just about to say.
Because some of these, they seriously don't care. They just want to look good.
Exactly what I was about to say.
And if you want to have the most luxurious, the most loud things in the show,
right. This
we'll give them to you.
That's right. I mean, the saving grace for the Instagrammer, in my opinion, is one, as I already mentioned, the restaurant does a lot of the heavy lifting because the restaurant presents the vibe and the music. Let them enjoy that. And two, a lot of these people still have a lot of money, and they will buy very expensive items if they have luxurious and these grand presentations. So more power to them. They're still annoying, but some of them spend some money. Yeah. So whatever. So
or some just want to be left alone, which they fall into the vibe. And you're like, perfect. You take their order, make sure everything is excellent. There's a lot of guests that I've had this situation with my server assistant, where I said to my assistant, I said, that guy just wants to be left alone. He just wants to talk to his date. So let's leave him alone.
That's my
go
point
there
exactly.
only when you need to.
Exactly.
Just leave him alone, and they leave you a good tip.
The vibe category.
And I said to him, you see, we just read that table well. That's what they wanted.
And you did a good job on that. Exactly. So the vibe category is big. This is a big category. I think it's the biggest category because vibe is not specific. It's very subjective to the person. Like the Instagram photo taking vibe is one vibe, but people can say to themselves, I want to go have dinner. I want to have a power lunch. I want to go have a nice date. I want to take my mother to a restaurant where there's no music, where all you hear is the clinking and clanking of silverware on plates, and it's nice and elegant. That is also a vibe. That's what we're failing to remind people of. That vibe is tons of things. This is the biggest category because every restaurant is for a different vibe. Yeah. Because every restaurant, there's a restaurant for everybody. But the photo taking and Instagram thing is is making my head fuzzy. So let's move on to the next thing.
I'm gonna get you a ring light.
So as we mentioned, the last category of guest is someone who's going to a restaurant because they want service, a particular service. And as I mentioned, this is the category that requires the most skill from a server, a serving assistant, a busser, a bartender, from the front of house staff, from the restaurant in general. Front of house, back of house, a restaurant guest who's going somewhere because they want service, a particular service style, requires the most finesse, the most detail-oriented service from the staff. Why? Because let's say somebody goes to a restaurant and I can tell right away. I can decipher this person immediately. These are the people who are diners. They know about the nuances of a restaurant experience. They ask for a wine list, and if you want to sell wine, which is another episode, we'll get into all of that later. One of the techniques I like to use is I like to gauge a guest by saying, what kind of wine do you drink? And if they start talking about these boutique, Napa Reds or, some Bordeaux's or, some fantastic wine, then I already know these people are on a certain level, okay? Watch and clothing aside, these people know what they're doing. So these are people who, unlike the person who wants to just have good food and doesn't really, the service style doesn't matter per se in terms of creating a well-balanced meal, these people do care about that stuff. If you get a diner who's like, I trust you, if that happens, because it does, then these people do care. You can't send this person caviar and another thing and a hot appetizer at the same time. No, because this person's going to be like, what are you doing? That's not how it works. If you mark this person and you give them their backhand, this person's going to notice. If you grab a knife by the blade, they're going to be like, what are you doing? Right? These are people you can't fuck up on. But these people also, generally speaking, tend to be your best tippers.
Yes.
Because these are the guests who, like I said, they understand what's going on behind the scenes. They've eaten out for their whole goddamn lives. So if you do a good job, they'll be appreciative. And if they can afford those high-end boutique items, they usually say to themselves, oh, I can also afford to tip because this person and his team did a good job. Or, this server did a good job. But like I said, these are the people where you really got to show your skills. Where, again, you have to gain rapport with somebody who knows what they're doing and can gauge you as a server very quickly by saying, this server knows what they're doing. I trust them. Or they'll be like, give me a moment. I'll order. Because they'll be like, I don't trust this person. I'm not going to let them ruin my dining experience.
That's why I say that that first impression that you make in the table is key.
It's huge.
Because when I go out to restaurants, we've spoken about this before, I like to ask the server, especially if it's my first time, I let them know this is my first time. What should I go for? What's this place known for? Depending on how the server projects himself or herself,
Yeah.
I will say, nah,
Right.
I'm going to order.
You can tell right away
got
because you're a diner.
So this is it's very big, and at that point I say, nah, don't worry, I'm going to take over this, and I got it. But if that person presents himself in a way that I say, okay, you know what you're talking about, and you convince me, I trust you. You know what? Make a menu for me, and if this person hits all the marks, I'll take care of them as well.
Right.
And if it was excellent, if this person read the situation that I was in, whether I wanted to not be bothered or be, entertained or have a conversation, because I go to a table sometimes and I see that my guests, I go to a table sometimes and I see that my guests are not having a conversation. So I kind of spark a conversation in them. I may talk about something and they will continue that. So it's when this server reads my situation well, I will reward that person the same way that when I read a situation well in my tables, they will reward you.
Yeah.
So I think that's why it's important for you to know why someone might be going to the restaurant, because it allows you to better tailor the experience that you're trying to give them, and in the end, be better rewarded.
Right.
And as a guest, it helps you know what kind of restaurant you're going to, so that you can better manage your expectations about it. So hopefully this little checklist and this little conversation will help you do just that.
So look, but the way to think about that service style though, the guests who know, the diners who know how to eat, they don't have that issue. They usually go to restaurants because they know what's up. They usually frequent restaurants, and they know what's going on. I think this is the most adaptable service mentality as well for a guest. This is the category where a guest can, let's say a guest wants to go to a restaurant, and again, they didn't know what the vibe was. These are the people that might be able to adapt a little more, because these are the people who can decipher a menu and be like, okay, this isn't a Michelin star restaurant. It is what it is. But you know what? I'm not wearing a tie today. I'm still going to do great food. And I know that I can tailor my menu this way. My server is incompetent, but I can make this work for myself.
Yeah.
Right? A diner can do that. So I fall under that category, because if you know me, bro, I go out to eat, and if a server even blinks wrong, I'm like, no, it's not going to happen. Just give me a couple minutes, dude. I got it. Yeah. Or if the server's a gangster, I'm going to be like, yeah, this is real right here. Let's do it.
Absolutely.
Let's do it. So I think the diners in the service category are sort of like, jacks of all trades. Like they're kind of like chameleons. They can blend in. They can blend in anywhere.
Yeah. But finding service is just finding the service that you like.
Right.
And to search for that, it's very difficult.
It's difficult.
It's just once you find it, you become a regular. Right. So that's great. But in the going back to that little checklist, right? Mm. Again, why it's important for you to know who you're going out and what's the occasion. If we go out, I say, okay, now I'm gonna go out with Ed. We're gonna have some food.
Yeah,
the food has to be great, because that's all he cares about. So
that's all I care about.
Because I remember I wanted to invite you to this place that it was very popular, very trendy, brand new, but it was super loud, and everybody wanted to go, and you were like, nah, no, it's not for you. But I know that if I'm going on a date and she wants to dress up, look good, take some pictures, then the place for ambiance is going to be more important. See, I'm going to try to find one that has a little bit better food, because I've been invited to places sometimes where it's like brand new, super luxurious, and I'm like, sure,
terrible.
But I know what I'm going there for. That was not going to be. I know the food's not going to be like great.
Right.
And if something is good, then I'm pleasantly surprised. So knowing who you go with helps you manage not only your expectations, but the other one as well. I know some people don't really care about the other person's expectations. It's like when I go to the movie theater, I enjoy going to the movie theater by myself, because I just enjoy the movie or not. I don't have to, when you go to a movie theater and you're enjoying the movie, and then you look to the side just to see if the person next to you is either fall asleep or having a good time. But you don't do that when you go on your own, right? Mm. But when you go out with someone else, you kind of are, in a way, slightly, you might be, like, is this person having a good time or not? Or depends on the LDE energy that you have, right? Or actually, E stands for energy. So it depends on the LDE that you have.
Let it go, man. Let it go. For the service style of dining, though, there is another guest who's not a diner per se, an experienced diner. They won't be able to tell you what wine they like. They won't be able to understand those nuances. They'll just know that they want to sit down and feel special. Not special from the music, not because they're taking pictures, but because they're sitting down, they're being pampered a little bit. These guests are cool too. These guests, are cool in their own way, because you don't have to worry about those nuances, the coursing of dinner, the timing of the food. These people know that the dinner went well, or they feel like the dinner didn't go well, right? That diner is like a mechanic, right? If they're driving a car, something goes wrong, they know exactly what's going wrong, right? You can't bullshit these people. The person who wants good service but doesn't really know about the details is just a person who's like driving, and when they feel something go wrong, they're like, I feel like something's wrong. I don't know what. I got to take this car to the garage, something like that. Either one is okay. Either one can be generous, and you can identify them right away based on that diners' wine preferences and their food questions, and the exact opposite from the other person who just wants good service. Either one for me is cool, because the person who doesn't necessarily know what's going on but wants good service is the person you can introduce to all types of cool stuff. The other day, some guests had never had caviar before. They were intrigued. I explained the concept to them. I gave them an entry-level caviar, and they were like, that's it. I'm hooked. That made me feel cool. That person forever is going to remember that they had caviar at my restaurant with me for the rest of their lives. I hope. I don't know. Whatever. Either way, they like caviar now because I made them comfortable with the concept. I presented to them in an approachable form. I showed them how to eat it. I showed them how to serve it. I served it for them, and then they continued until it was done. That's cool. I like that.
You did your job.
Whatever.
I hope this conversation adds some skills to your repertoire about how you can identify guests so you can better manage their expectations. Mm-hmm. And I hope that as a guest, it allows you to better understand what goes on in a server's mind as to how they're serving you, and how you can also better select the restaurant that meets your needs or expectations. So let us know in the comments down below, what category do you fall into? Is it food? Is it ambiance? Is it service? Also, as a server, what kind of questions do you ask guests to put them into one of those categories or your category of your own? And how do you go about in serving them? Let us know down below. For everything else, that's our show. Thank you for listening.
Stop being a little bitch when you order. Don't forget to tip.
And we look forward to hosting you again real soon.
Take care, everybody. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe.